it appears to be either Dillon Gabriel week or Kenny Pickett week. And I'm not sure which one, and I'm not sure how excited I am about one of those weeks, but mildly intrigued about the Dillon Gabriel week, if that's what this is.
I just thought we were going to continue on with the Shedeur Sanders week.
I think I'm good after yesterday.
Which was going to turn into Shedeur Sanders month, which was going to turn into a little bit of a reprieve because it would have been Joe Flacco's time then, and then we would have just shelved that, and then we would have got right back to Shedeur Sanders month.
What a way to really just put aside the whole first part of the season that everybody's putting so much pressure on there. Because the Browns have to start fast with the whole Joe Flacco. That happened, and now it's back to Shedeur month.
Is that not how people are looking at it?
No. I think people are much more open-minded on this quarterback race than maybe you are. I don't think that's really saying much.
Oh,
Mac laughed.
Okay, then. I don't know.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just simply saying.
I don't know. It felt like it was. It felt like this is the Shedeur Sanders time, and then when we get to the regular season, I don't know. I mean, it seems like Joe Flacco is the leader in the clubhouse. Do you disagree with that?
No, that sounds about right.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think it's Shedeur's time per se. Shedeur had a moment, and now it makes sense that because Dillon Gabriel wasn't able to play last week and Kenny Pickett as well, that they would also have a moment coming up this week.
And they will have that moment. We'll see how they do moving forward.
You sound excited.
I don't know. I was just making a quick joke was all. It wasn't really that deep.
No, I think the Gabriel stuff I think is interesting for us to talk about because while I am Switzerland and you are part of the Shahive, and we both kind of just respect Joe Flacco and kind of understand where this could be going for him. Dillon's like the difference between Dillon and Kenny in my mind is I have massive doubts about Dillon being a starting NFL quarterback or anything close to it. And a lot of it starts with the size, the obvious. I have massive doubts about Kenny Pickett, but I've actually seen it in the NFL game. So I don't need to see it in a new context to be like, it's going to be the Sam Darnold. No, he was unplayable in Pittsburgh. His numbers were beyond caca, so much worse than what Sam Darnold's numbers were in either Carolina, San Francisco, or New York. I've written Kenny completely off. He's going to actually have to get on a regular season field and do something to impress me. Whereas I'm interested to see if Dillon gets the first half of this game or he and Shedeur trade reps against Philly. I'm excited to see what he can do in the same way I was excited to see Shedeur going into this last preseason game.
I'm interested to see if Dillon comes out and looks really, really good. Like if he looks like what Shedeur looked like in game one, if the narrative shifts from these quarterbacks being on the right track and developing to then being, Stefanski, just this is what he does with preseason quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to hear if Dillon plays really, really well in this preseason game.
Whether if that diminishes Shedeur at all.
And by the way, I converse to that. I do think Shedeur playing well has a fair amount of people not interested in seeing what Dillon can do. And that's exactly the opposite of where I am. I'm like, Shedeur looked really good and not really being put in the best position to succeed. Well, Dillon Gabriel's gotten a hell of a lot more first-team reps. He's got a hell of a lot more opportunities.
Yeah.
He is coming off the hamstring, but all right, let's see what the guy that I think Kevin Stefanski believes in most, let's see what that guy can do this year.
I mean, can we look at these guys just independent of each other? Is that possible for us at this point? Like Jackson Dart over the weekend, I thought he looked really nice. I thought Cam Ward looked really nice as well in certain spots in his preseason game. That doesn't take away anything from Shedeur. Can we look at these guys independent and say if Shedeur looks good and then if Dillon Gabriel also looks good, then okay, maybe just their plan was a good plan to begin with in taking something that we never see in two quarterbacks.
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be much more concerning. And we've had this. We have had times where quarterbacks have gone out there in the preseason and just looked really bad, and it didn't matter who the quarterback was. I worry that if Shedeur has a good game and then Dillon has a bad game to everybody's agreement, that people are going to think that means something to the Browns. That I don't think. Like, I still think Dillon's at a point where they're doing enough of the stress test with him that it's not necessarily about what do the stats look like? Was he flawless? Did he have, did he lead 3 scoring drives like Shedeur did? I think it's more how did he handle the stress test from all around? And I think that's going to drive people crazy because, we do judge people by how they perform in the field.
Well, so like I heard Mary Kay earlier today. She was on with Baskin and Phelps, and she was talking about how Stefanski basically puts these quarterbacks in a position to succeed in the preseason. And it just had me wondering then if Dillon does look good, is that going to then spin out to be the narrative? That's like, oh, well, yeah, because we've seen other quarterbacks look good in the preseason. I mean, DTR for years, that was the recipe with him. We've seen under Stefanski. It seems like a litany of guys come in and be able to do something in the preseason.
I mean, I think I went into last week saying I don't like, on one hand, I think Shedeur's a football player, and so we should expect him to react like a football player. Go out there, regardless of the circumstances, and put your best foot forward, which he did. There is an element of this. It's like, well, this is the fatted calf here. Dillon Gabriel is the guy that they liked considerably more than Shedeur. I mean, if you hear Albert Breer, who's going to be joining us at 5:20, tell it, he echoes Mike Silver's report that they turned down trades for him after they drafted Shedeur, which is a whole nother thing we can get into. Because I'm curious, was it like a 5th round pick, or did somebody offer like a better than 3rd round pick for Dillon? It's just wild that other teams would call about that. However, I digress. Like, I expect Dillon to look good this week. And I think how this is different is I think I expected Shedeur to behave like a football player, but I don't know I could have expected him to play as well as he did. So Shedeur was almost in a no-lose situation from where I sat, because he massively outperformed the minimal expectations I had for him. With Dillon, this is their guy. Like, I think it's far more consequential to me personally in my evaluation if he looked really bad in camp and then he looks bad this week. That carries as much weight as you can possibly carry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how many times can we just watch you look bad? Because we watched it with our own 2 eyes. If it carries into the actual preseason game where we watch him play, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to call him cooked through a couple preseason games, but it'll be very alarming for the status of Dillon Gabriel.
Yeah, and I think the basic things to like look for is I think the reality is kind of like Shedeur. Shedeur's trying to reprogram some of those those incorrect impulses he had when he feels pressure, right?
Yeah.
That is going to be a part of Shedeur's game for a long time, and maybe all the time. And it's just about minimizing them. So with Dillon, like, the height thing is real. He's going from playing with a lot of really big football players in college to everybody's gargantuan. I mean, even the centers, I think 6'5", 6'6" with Ethan Bosick. So, like, I expect to watch him. I don't want to say struggle, but to see him. I want to see how he navigates the height issue, because you mentioned the Brock Purdy thing last week.
Yeah, Brock Purdy says he can't see over 40% of his throws.
So 40% of your throws are trust throws. Well, I'll say, if you've been in camp for 3 weeks now and you've gotten a lion's share of work with the guys you're going to be playing with this week, I would say we should see some progress on that result of, hey, I'm going to throw this here, but you and the receiver are going to have to be in lockstep. I would expect to see that relationship flourish.
Even independent of the stats, I think we can tell how it looks and how it feels. Like, that's the thing that I like the most about Shedeur, was that I think a lot of people got to see that it looked right, and he didn't look panicky, and his feet didn't look like he was, going a mile a minute or anything like that. He was comfortable, and it looked like that. It looked like he was in charge, and that's independent of whether or not he had what I believe to be was 4 dynamic elite throws in that game. Like, it was independent of all that. With Dillon Gabriel, if he can have a couple bad throws here and there, he can have a couple mistakes here and there. If he looks the part and it feels like the game's not too fast for him and everything that comes with that, I think that'd be a major sign for him. It's just whether or not we'll see that.
So I will ask this of you, because for me, I'm kind of Switzerland with everyone. Like, I don't think this is a great quarterback room. I don't think it has a high probability of solving the quarterback spot until proven otherwise. They're going to get their franchise quarterback in 2026, because they're likely going to be bad enough to earn a top 3, top 5, top 7 pick. Are you giving Dillon Gabriel a chance to change your mind this week?
Yeah, so like you made a comment in the beginning part of the segment that was like, you're not as open as you are. I've been open the entire stretch. I'm not open right now. As of right now, I'm not open. It's Joe Flacco's the starter, then it's Shedeur Sanders. And as far as Kenny Pickett and Dillon Gabriel are concerned, I don't really need to see them play football. Like, I'm kind of closed on that. Now, here's the opportunity. If you prove me wrong and you come out and you play good football, then we can crack that door back open. But I watched too much in the actual practices when it came to Dillon Gabriel to ever be impressed at this point. And I do think the height issue matters. And he's got no way to resolve that overnight. That's not going to happen. And then as it comes to Kenny Pickett, sorry, you're not on the field. Like, those two guys have not been available enough to even be on the field to try to impress us. And really, That's going to be a big part of the game too.
So I think, because I think I clumsily went through this earlier. Maybe the better way for me to put it is there's nothing Kenny Pickett can do in the preseason to change my mind. If he gets this job, I'm going to think, now that we definitely have the injury, if he ends up starting week 1 and it doesn't involve an injury to Joe Flacco, I'm going to think the books were cooked for him because there's nothing that he's done. The 4 practices that everyone suddenly turned into Joe Montana in the 1981 Super Bowl, that there are people saying those were great practices now that we're not saying that when he was actually in those 4 practices.
I don't even know people that are rewriting that right now. If that's a world of the internet that you're living in, I'm not living in that world, but I remember we talked about it daily. There was never a day that we left being like, that was Kenny Pickett's day.
But with Dillon, I think I'm going to hold him to the same standard that Shedeur is, which is I wasn't going to get too high or too low on Friday, no matter what happened with him. But I came away because I set the bar so low with Shedeur that I came away really, really, I don't want to say surprised, really intrigued by what I saw. The bar might be a little bit higher for Dillon because they value him. But yeah, I mean, if you go out there, you look good in the red zone. I think with Dillon, I think he's going to be a guy that makes more plays with his arm than Shedeur, because Shedeur's much more of I'm not trying to say this in a bad way, a system quarterback. And I think Dillon's a guy that actually is going to have to make more plays with his arm, given how he played in college. But go out there and play some good football. It doesn't have to look flawless. Shedeur didn't look flawless. If you go out there, I'm just going to be doubly excited about the quarterback spot. I'm not going to be less excited about Shedeur or less excited about Joe Flacco, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Where I'm at right now, it's Joe and it's Shedeur. Like, if you're giving my own Browns depth chart, it's Joe, it's Shedeur, then it's Dillon Gabriel, then it's Kenny Pickett. And as far as Dillon and Kenny Pickett are concerned, I'm good for right now. It make me believe that there's something there that we haven't been able to see so far.
216-474-0092. Want to hear from you guys on this. Are you giving Dillon Gabriel a chance this week? I think Shedeur looking really good last week only got me more excited to see what Dillon Gabriel can do this week. I still don't feel that way about Kenny Pickett. Like, if Kenny Pickett wants to earn me as wants me to be a Pickett person, he's going to have to see the field in the regular season and look drastically different than he ever did in Pitt, which I think really the difference in my doubt between Dillon and Kenny is I've seen one guy massively fail on a football field in the NFL with a lot of good things going around him, and I have not seen Dillon do that yet outside of not looking great in practice. It's interesting. Right now is the time when people, I think, are getting overwhelmed by the options of it's likely going to be Flacco, but now Shedeur's made some waves. This could be Dillon or Kenny Pickett's week. I think the amount of options really is taxing people, as opposed to if it was just a pure 3-man quarterback battle. I think it's if Dillon or Kenny take advantage of this week, it's just got more interesting to me.
Yeah, for right now, maybe that's why I've decided to, if this is like a VIP club, I've just closed the velvet rope, and I've decided to just make this a limited partnership here, where it's Joe Flacco, it's Shedeur Sanders. Everybody else, you got to really impress me to open up that velvet rope once again. And you know what? It makes it so much easier on the brain.
Paul on Twitter saying, no Pickett fan, but you realize he had a winning record, several game-winning drives, and a horrible OC in Pittsburgh.
Don't care. Get healthy.
No, don't care. He was unplayable.
Yeah, don't just get
by the
healthy.
way, he did sign it with love, so we appreciate that. With love in return there, Paul. He was Zach Wilson bad in Pittsburgh. And
yeah, I mean, we've both made up our decision on Pickett. That's why,
in spite of him.
But that's why it's like trying to make it seem like it's some sort of big open competition or anything like that, or as if we have to be open on it. Like, I listen, we've been doing this for how many months?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Well,
it's Flacco Shedeur for me. It has been the entire time. All we've seen now is only affirm that. And if the base of it is just simply they're the two that have stayed healthy, that should be enough reason for football people.
And to what I would say to Paul, because the horrible OC is something that's been pointed out recently. The alleged lack of weapons in Pittsburgh, which, I mean, he had Deontay Johnson at his best, and I believe he had rookie year of George Pickens. This was not who Bryce Young was throwing to last year in Carolina. I would say a lot of that narrative about, man, Pittsburgh really set him up to fail, that came out this year. Right. When they moved on from him, there were a lot of people writing some really just how bad Kenny Pickett was. And those people are suddenly quiet now because there's this new narrative that's taken over. The Kenny Pickett narrative dance, to me, proves how faulty sometimes the national NFL media is and how fast and loose they play with logic.
And I think sometimes they fall in love with players because the players are nice to them.
Yeah,
because they're good people. And I feel like Kenny Pickett's a good person, and he's nice to a lot of people in the media.
He's got great lettuce and great hair.
Yeah, and they just kind of they find the excuses for him, and that's okay. That's fine. Hey, it's not like they're unfounded. We do have, across NFL history, there have been people, as you mentioned, and we've talked about for months now, that have gone on to have great careers after being just forgotten about and just ditched to the NFL curb. I just don't think Kenny Pickett's one of them.